Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Tony with rchelp.com. In today's video, we're going to be rebuilding these shocks. Now in the last T-Maxx series that we did on the 0.15, we did do a shock rebuild video, but in this one, I'm hoping to get a little closer and show a little more detail on what I do in rebuilding these shocks. So obviously the first thing we've got to do is we've got to break them all down and we got to clean them. We got to get all this dirt off because we don't want this inside this shock body. Some other things to note, if you look at these two on the inside, these have limiters in them. We're going to do something a little bit different if I can find the right parts to where we don't have to do this. Another thing you'll notice is there is a lack of spacers on these shocks to level out the truck. I don't know why it's missing spacers, but it doesn't have any spacers to level it out. 9 times out of 10, whenever you have shocks that are exactly the same front to back, the back is going to be lower, which could be one of the big reasons for these spacer blocks right here, these limiting blocks. So without further ado, let's go ahead, grab a shock, let's tear it apart and get to cleaning it. Now I don't want to start with these because, well, let's try to keep the workspace a little clean. So we're just going to set these up here and we're going to work on this one to make these a little bit more neat. OCD, I'm sure some of y'all understand. Alright, to take a shock apart, all you got to do is locate the slot down here in the spring cup, pull that back and then slide it over, and then that'll come right off. We'll set that there. From there the spring will come off. Then you're going to have this little shock retainer, retaining ring, whatever it is, and then you're left with the shock. Now from here we're going to pull out our trusty green towel that we have used throughout this entire rebuild, and we're just going to wipe it off. You want to try to not force dirt down into the shaft right here, but you do want to clean it off. And because of the amount of dirt that is on this, one, I'm not going to be able to get down in there, but two, we're going to have to clean this thing inside and out on all 8 of them. Now if that's done, you just need some sort of catch bucket, catch can, whatever. You can do this over a trash can. Don't do this in your sink because this is silicone or oil. It doesn't play well with your pipes. So we're just going to unscrew the cap, and here's a moment of truth. You guys are seeing this as I am. I don't know if there's bladders inside these. I don't see any vent holes on the outside, but there should be bladders, and there is. But look how low that fluid level is. Oh my. Alright, we're just going to set that cap right there and yeah, get you guys up close and personal with it. That's supposed to be all the way at the top. It is not there. Alright, just so this doesn't really wreak as much havoc on the white balance of the camera, what I do is I will push my shaft pretty much all the way up. That one's kind of sticky, but I'll push it up. Now did you hear that? Listen closely. That's that piston sucking air down into the oil. This is what I was talking about in the last video where we rebuilt shocks that you don't want to do when you're putting them back together. On this one, it's fine. This is one thing I didn't show, and this is one of the questions I had. You know, why do you push the piston all the way up and then pull it out to drain it? Because obviously nothing's going to come out. Well, this is why. Once you pull out on it, it's just going to force it all out. It's a lot faster, and then you can sit here and yeah. So if I get you up here and get that glare off there, you can see that has some nasty stuff in it. It was time. I don't know what weight this is. If I had to guess, I'm guessing 30 weight. I do still have my rag that's got WD-40 on it. We're just going to kind of wipe that lip off, and then we're just going to set this shock up over here. Alright, so show you one more. Again, you've got that slot right there. Pull up, over, that comes off. Spring comes off. Retainer comes off. Trusty green towel. Clean that dirt off. Try not to force it up in there, just try to wipe it off. Alright, grab our cup, unscrew our cap, which sometimes those things are on real tight. You may have to take an Allen drive or something, put through here, and use that to help you out. They do sell tools to do this. I've never found the need for one. Alright, do we have a bladder? Yes, we do, and it's actually stuck on here. Okay, fall off. This one is just as low. So, alright, so once again for the second time, we're going to push our shaft up, all the way up, turn it over. It did not look like that one was as bad. Go ahead, just wipe our shock off, wipe them threads off, and there we go. And you want to do exactly that to every single one of these shocks. Once we get down to these four, it's going to get really nasty because these were the rear. I do believe these were the right rear, which means these were being covered in oil coming from the exhaust. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and break all these down just like I did those. I'm not going to take out the seals or anything. I'm not going to take the shafts out. I'm just going to clean these up and get them just like those. So let me do that, and I'll be right back. Well. What in the world do we have here? First thing I noticed when I was taking this one apart, and this is a fourth one. First thing I noticed was the shaft. It's, yeah. But then I took the cap off, and this is what I found inside. I don't know what that is. So, what happens if I push on it? Okay, what happens if I push on it a little faster? That's gross. That's what that is. I have never in my life seen something like that. It almost looks like somebody put cooking oil in these shocks. But I'm going to tell you, that this has got to be the nastiest thing I've ever seen. Alright, got WD-40. That's, yeah. Man, I don't know what that is. So I'm going to take a paper towel and we're going to try to wipe some of that out. Alright, to anybody watching, if your shocks are low on shock oil, you can't use cooking oil. It just don't work. Don't put cooking oil in your shocks. Oh my God, that's disgusting. Ugh. I'm gonna work on this one just a little bit more than I've worked on the others for what I hope is obvious reasons. But we still got to tend to that shock shaft, so we'll set that one off here to the side. And oh my God, that's gross. Alright, so now I'm down to one of these, and I'm just going to go ahead and slide these off of the end. And we are not going to be putting these back on. While I got you here, as you can see, there's a bunch of dirt on that. If I slide this collar down, all that dirt's just going to fall off onto my rag. So I'm going to go ahead, take my green rag, and wipe this off. That shock cap was wicked loose. I'm just going to clean this off before I take that spring retainer off, because now it won't drop as much of the crap all over my towel. And there we go. Alright, onward and upward. And just for the record, this one has like almost no shock oil in it. Wow. Alright then. So I only found one. This guy right here. I only found one that had that nasty, well, it's that bulge right there. Ugh. Why would you put cooking oil in this stuff? Oh man. Shock oil is not that expensive, guys. You don't have to do this. That's astounding to me. Alright, my next step in the process is going to be to clean all these retainers, all the springs, all these right here, and then we're going to move on to tearing the shock body apart. Now, I shouldn't have to show you how to clean a spring. It's pretty easy. You can take a toothbrush. I'm going to show you anyway, of course. Take a toothbrush, just run it inside and out, just like this, and then hit the outside, and that'll clean them right out. Now, this last one, I've got my thumb basically poked in right there. This is my WD-40 soaked rag. We're having to get a little more aggressive on this cleaning. Once we get down to the end, right down here, pull it. All I do is pull my thumb out. That's going to leave the rag in there, and then continue going around, and you'll feel it snap out that end. But as you can see, yeah, it's been rubbing pretty good. Sometimes if you need to really get down in there, you can take your spring and put it over a rag or something like that, and then turn it, move it, find the end of it, and then turn it again, and that'll clean out in there. Alright, all 8 springs, nice and clean. And we keep going. Alright guys, so as you can see here, I've got all the springs mostly clean. They're clean enough. I've got the bottom spring support. I got those all clean. I've got the top support clean. Now we're going to concentrate on these. I mean, do I need to remind you? We're going to start with this one. Alright, let's get our cleaning supplies out the way here. Alright, what we're going to do, I'm going to take and I'm going to pinch this rod with my finger and see if I can unscrew it. And surprisingly I can. You don't want to put a lot of force on it. You don't want to bend this shaft. But they're only a few bucks for a couple of them. So not that big of a deal if you do damage one. But you do have to order it or go to the store. Local hobby shop. Whatever. So I actually rewatched the old video I did on rebuilding these. And I forgot to mention one thing. And what that one thing was before you take this shaft out, loosen this little nut right here, this little cap. That's going to take compression off of those seals that are inside there. And yeah, if you leave it compressed, that's leaving those seals pressing against this shaft, and the threads could damage them. The other thing you want to do is you want to just kind of feel the threads. I feel a little something there on the end, and if I hold it up here close for you guys, you can see there is in fact something there on the end. Even if you close your eyes and you do this, you can feel that there's something wrong. So I'll just take what little thumbnail I have. Sorry, fingernails are dirty. I wonder why. And just go counterclockwise and it'll push that piece right out. You guys can see right there. So there's a couple threads on there from this little clevis or whatever you want to call it. Take a look at it. Do it again, feel it. Alright, feels great. We've got this cap off. We know we don't have any compression, any excess compression on this shaft from the seals. And what we're going to do is we're going to push this out. But before I do that, we're going to grab a paper towel so I can mess with the camera's white balance. And we're going to do this on here because we're going to get a little bit of oil out of this. So you can see the oil that's still on that piston right there. We're going to go ahead and pull this out, but then we're going to take this shaft, put it back in, and we're going to see if we can't pop these seals out of here. No, that one fits kind of loose. So sometimes it'll pop them out, sometimes it won't. If it doesn't, just get you a little flathead. If you're going to reuse these, be extremely careful. These are kind of squared off, but I didn't see any of them leaking, so we may go ahead and reuse them. There's going to be a shim right here, or a spacer, so we got to kind of work that out, and that's sometimes easier said than done. Alright, there's your spacer, and then down in here is going to be a second O-ring right there. On these rags, you're going to have two corners, or at least on my rags, you're going to have two corners that are nice and round, but then the other two corners are going to come to a point, and that's what I've been using to clean, well, everything else on this truck. So what I want to do, I want to find that clean corner, clean-ish corner, kind of ball it up, and then we're going to put that, I see a little bit of schmoo on that side. So, well, you don't want to put something like that down in your shock body. So I'm going to kind of tuck that inside there, and that should be fine. You know, these are plastic body shocks, so tolerances aren't all that great. Let's go ahead and clean that out. You can see the stuff I got out of there. Then we want to take another clean part of the edge, and I use the edge because it's thicker. Put down here where the seals go. That didn't really have anything in it, which is good. Then I'm just going to run right here on the threads. That looks good. Go ahead and run right here on the threads. Alright, a little bit extra on that one. Just take my brush, clean that off. And there's a clean shock body. For the bladder, which did fall out on this one, just wipe it off. That's all you got to do. Once you get it wiped off, kind of take a look at it, kind of pull it a little bit. Don't pull it real hard, but you want to pull it enough to see if there's a rip. If there is a rip, it'll open up on you. Alright, that looks good. We're going to take the seal, wipe it off. We're going to take the spacer, wipe it off. We're going to take the other seal, wipe it off. And now we get to the shock shaft, the piston, the E-clips, and the spacer. Remember me talking about this in the last video? If you guys were around, you do. And I did put these back in on the other video. And I guess since they are plastic body shocks and this is a metal E-clip, I'll probably go ahead and put them back in on this one too. Even though I don't like to, I don't have any extra O-rings to put in here. So there's our spacer. We're going to take our shaft, just kind of wipe it off, wipe the piston off. Let's take a look here. We have 2-hole piston. This is one of the front shocks, and it's got a 2-hole. And if I remember right, this is that really nasty one. This one, let me just grab a little pokey bit. There's a hole right here. You guys can see it right there. There's a hole right here, and there's a hole right here. So this one has a 3-hole piston in it. Now, that's got me wondering. You know, these are the surprises that you're going to come up with. And I'm just going to go ahead and push all of these up. I know I'm probably going to get shock oil on my towel, but I need them to drain off so that I can see all these. I know that these ones that are more dirty, I know these are going to be the rear, especially like this one. This one's really bad. Alright, so we're going to take our shocks, we're going to take a paper towel, run it inside, try to dry off that piston, and let's see, after I clean off my wire here, all this is one of those heavy twist ties you get with electronics that are holding wires together. So let's see, there's one. Okay, so that one's a 2-hole. and this one is a 2-hole. Okay, that one was a 3-hole. Remember that. Let's go ahead and get that oil off of there. This is a 2-hole. So if these are 3 holes, then I had this one in the wrong spot. This was actually a rear. So let's find out. Nope, this one's a 2-hole. And I'd already said that one was a 2-hole. Yeah, forgetting where I am. And that one's a 2-hole. Alright, so this shock is the odd man out with a 3-hole piston. That makes no sense at all. What in the world? Okay. So, got a little sidetracked there, but yeah, I remember seeing the 3-hole in this, and I wanted to verify all of these. You do want to look up in here. You want to make sure all your threads are good. We're going to get back to the rebuild, by the way. And we're going to go ahead and clean this out. We're going to take our little brush, run it through here, and I'm going to try just to run one way like it's going out and get all that schmoo off of it. Okay, looks pretty good. Set that right there. Actually, yeah, that'll be fine. We're going to move that down. We're going to set that there, and we'll get a drink of coffee. You guys might not be able to see that, but that is an RC Help cup. Oh yeah. Alright, so let's get back to the rebuild. We've already taken the spacer off from down here. Now I need to remove the piston because I want to clean all of this and I want to check all these seals. Get you a small to medium sized screwdriver, one that will fit in those little slots on the E-clip. Let's see if I can, there you go, you can see them slots right there. Put your screwdriver tip in one of them slots. I'm in the right slot, so I'm going to go counterclockwise. If I was in the left slot, I would go clockwise. So put it in there, put your finger right here. That way whenever it does snap off, you can catch it. And then just kind of twist, and it'll pull it out. Something like that. And then just take it off. Then we can take our piston off. Before we set it down, we'll go ahead, wipe it down. We are going to look at the piston. I was hoping this would have a number on it. I couldn't remember if Traxxas had numbers on theirs, but I guess Traxxas is only 1, 2, or 3 holes. Alright, go ahead and set the piston down. And we have this E-clip. For this one, I'm going to grab a bigger screwdriver. We're going to put on there and just press, and it should come off. It did not, so grab the smaller screwdriver, go ahead and just pry it off. So now we have our shock shaft. You want to verify down inside those grooves that there's no schmoo in there. If there is, just use your fingernail or whatever. Even those that don't have fingernails, you can get a fingernail down in there. Push a rag down in them slots or in them grooves. Look at the shock shaft. So if we just hold it up here, as you can see, the shaft is scored, and you can expect that. You know, this truck's, it's been used. You can expect this scoring. What you don't want to see is damage. Alright, put our shock shaft there, put our E-clips right there. And it's pretty much rinse and repeat for all of these, but I know you guys want to see me take this one apart. So we're going to set that right there. God, I do not want to do this. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is try to clean them threads off as much as I can. These plastic body shocks, you can see it ripped the paper towel right there. Yeah, these plastic bodies, I'm not a big fan of them. Alright. Oh my god. This is horrible. I don't think I'm going to be able to hold it with a paper towel. I might be able to. Let's see. Alright. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got it. I should be wearing gloves. I just point that out. Let's set this over here because I want to line all this stuff up for you guys. That way you guys can see it and it looks all pretty. Alright, so we got that off. What I'm worried about, let's get rid of that white paper towel. This right here is the shaft on this thing. I did do some scraping right there. Yeah, right here. Just to kind of see if it would come off. And it did. Kind of. Whatever this stuff was, it has done a number to this shaft. So what I want to do is I want to see how much of this I can get off just by doing that number. And it doesn't look like I'm going to get very much of it off. Because what I don't want to do is run this thing up through them seals. So let's just take this cap off right here. Okay, it looks like it has somewhat stockish seals in it. Put the cap back on, loosen it up just a hair. I've got this pulled all the way out. And what I'm going to do, and you should never do this to a shock shaft unless it's like this bad. I'm trying to reuse this shaft, believe it or not. And that's the only reason I'm doing this. You just want to kind of, it's such a bad idea. Scrape all this stuff down. I do see a little bit of damage on here. Let's get a close up. You can see right there, right up here at the very top. Yeah. What that is, these shafts are actually chrome plated steel, and what you're seeing there is the chrome plating coming off of this. I have never in my life seen something like that. That is unbelievable. Alright, well, sorry for those guys that this noise is annoying to. I think it's annoying to everybody. If there's some people, this actually makes them sick. This is not a smooth shaft. I wish you guys could feel what I'm feeling right here. This is a whole new level of damaged. Alright, so I zoomed y'all in so that I don't have to hold my arms up. You notice that there's 3 triangles right there where that damage is? There's like 4 triangles there. That's weird, man. Alright, got y'all back out. We're going to go ahead and take a look at these threads. Okay, we're going to take this cap off. We're going to set it right there. It does have the spacer inside it. Whatever the stuff was that come out of this thing has caused the damage to this shaft. There is no doubt in my mind that that is what did the damage to this shaft. Alright, we're going to move all of this. We are going to get a spot of this rag that has a lot of WD-40 on it. We are going to take that bump stop and we are going to clean it. Fold my rag up, that way I don't get WD-40 all over the place. And yeah, before I set this thing down, we are definitely going to do some cleaning. And that should be good right there. Alright, so we will go ahead and set that little bump stop right there. This is so nasty. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and wash this in the sink. Hot soapy water, because I do think this is grease. I think this is cooking oil. It almost looks like somebody put lard inside this shock. Yeah, when it's 100 degrees outside, the stuff will be liquid, but once it falls below about 70, this is what you get. So I'm going to clean this thing up in the sink, and yeah, we'll be back. I'm also going to use a bottle brush to clean this out. Let's just check the seals while we're here. That one doesn't look too bad. See if we can get this spacer out of here. Alright, there's that. That doesn't look too bad. And then the second O-ring, if I can get it out of there. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. So, yep, the shock body, this, as well as the cap and bladder, I am going to go ahead and clean these. Hot soapy water, and yeah. Alright guys, so here you go. As you can see, I did clean that one shock with soap and water. Apparently I got a little carried away because I cleaned it all. But, you know, this is just cleaning. Took a toothbrush, cleaned off all the threads, top and bottom. Also cleaned out the caps and cleaned the shock shafts and all the other pieces, including the bladders and the caps here. And yeah, we're ready to go back together. So one thing I noticed, and I posted this on Facebook. If you guys aren't on our Facebook page, it's linked down in the description. Just come over, like the page. I do post stuff over there that's kind of ahead of the videos. So just letting you guys know. But I had posted on there, one of these things is not like the other. And it's this shock. It's the shock that had the goo in it. I'm sure you remember. Ugh. This one has a full hex all the way around. This one only has 2 flats. You know, or these other 7 only have 2 flats. And the shock shaft is a different material. It's not, you know, it's not a hard chrome plating. It's almost like it's just a nickel plating. And yeah, like I said, it's kind of weird. This one was also the only one with a 3-hole piston. The rest of these are 2-hole piston. So yeah, that's kind of weird. But what we're going to do is we're going to change up the pistons that are in this. This is the shock oil that's going in there. This is 40 weight Losi shock oil. And Losi oil is some of the best stuff that I have ever had in my shocks. But in the beginning of this, I had removed these and I said I was going to have a better option than using something like this. Something that will not limit your shock travel, but will help the back end where the engine is from bottoming out. And the way we're going to do that is with those 4 guys right there. These are 4 3-hole pistons. We're going to replace this one because I haven't mic'd the holes, but I'm just not taking that chance. It's just easier to get these. I just now pulled these off of the tree that they were on, and whenever you do that, it's going to leave kind of a little sharp edge. Get up here close, you can see that sharp edge that it does leave. So I'm just going to take these side cutters and just barely nip off that little edge that was sticking out there. And then do that for every one of them. So what we're going to do with these 4 pistons that got the 3 holes in it, we're going to put these in the front. Now if I remember right, they had 25 weight oil in these shocks from the factory. Well, I don't know about y'all, but I don't think that's factory oil in any of them. Maybe the dark stuff is factory, you know, this stuff out here. But the rest of this, especially that goo right there, yeah, that didn't come in it. So the way we're going to do this, we're going to put these 3-hole pistons on the front. Then we're going to put the 2-hole pistons on the back. That's going to give the back more dampening, but the front less dampening. So whenever you come off a jump, it shouldn't bottom out the back, but you should be able to have about the same feel in the front. This is a trial and error thing, so your results may vary. Play with it, have fun. Shock oil is relatively cheap, and yeah, see what you can do. Now I am going to put the oddball shock all the way up in the very front. I want to be able to get to this and get it off easily if I find another one of these shocks. And the other reason for that, this shaft is bent. So there's that. But trying to do this on a budget, I didn't see any leaking, which, yeah, thick oil or thick grease, they're probably not going to leak. But we're going to go ahead and fill these up, see what happens, and if it does leak, it's a new shock shaft, you know. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and start filling these. These 4 are going to be the front, these 4 are going to be the rear. So these 4 are going to stick with these 2-hole pistons, whereas these 4 are going to lose their pistons. And again, I'm replacing this 3-hole with this 3-hole
just in case there's a variant in size of the holes. So we will just put these here with those shocks, and there we go. That's exactly how they're going to go back together. Set the shock oil out of the way, that way I got a little bit of room to work here. We're going to take our first little C-clip, put it on the bottom, and then we're going to just try to press that into place just like that. Make sure it is seated. If it's not, you can take a pair of pliers and make it seat. The way I've always done it, there's a smooth side and there's a sharp side. Just like I said in the last series, I always put the smooth side down. I think that's what I said in that series anyway. Take your second E-clip. If you got extremely strong fingernails, you can push that on. Yeah, I don't, so pliers. If when you're putting this E-clip on, if you slip off like that, this thing will go into low Earth orbit. I mean, it will just fly off. Alright, I'm going to do something that in the last series I said I don't like to do. In this one, I'm going to do the same thing. I don't like putting these hard plastic bump stops on there, but seeing as I don't have any of these O-rings, I would rather have this hard plastic on there to protect the shock body than nothing. Alright, and once you have your little bump stop on there, what we're going to do now is take our shock shaft, put it into the shock body. It's going to be a little bit different than that last time. Now we're going to take our shock oil, right there you can see 40 weight. You've got to open it up, take out your little plug, set it up there to the top. Now we're going to take just a little drop and put it right there on the shaft. You don't need a lot. All you're wanting to do is lube up these seals. Take your first seal, put it on there. Alright. Kind of smear that oil around a little bit. Put the first seal on. These plastic spacers are a little bit too tight. I don't really like them being that tight. So I got a 120 thousandths drill bit. Put it in there. Spin it around. And that's going to loosen it up on that shaft where it slides all kinds of nice. There, it's not tight at all. You want your seals to do your sealing, not that plastic spacer. Now that we got that in there, go ahead and push the seals in. Grab our cap. Go ahead and screw your cap on. Tighten it down, just finger tight. You don't have to go all A-bomb on this thing. Check your shaft. Make sure it moves somewhat smooth. Because these are composite body and not aluminum or Teflon, it's going to be a little tight. Now we're going to get ready to fill this thing. To do that, pull your shock shaft all the way out and then fill up your shock body with shock oil. Right there, I am right at the top. I have a little bit of a dome, which is actually perfect because we're using bladders. But what I want to do is take a shock shaft and put it up in there about halfway. Now I'm going to let this sit here for a minute. You can see how pretty and clean that is. Ooh, look at that. Once it's set here for a little bit, kind of give it a couple taps, pull your shock shaft down. You see that bubble come out. There actually should have been two, but I guess it all went to one side. Push your shock shaft back up. Give it, a couple little love taps. You can use something metallic. All you're wanting to do is dislodge any bubbles that may be on the bottom and get them up there to that piston. Alright, so now that we're sure all the bubbles are out of it, we're going to push our shock shaft up and watch it. Do not suck in air from the top of this, but you want to push the shaft in until you are right there at the top. And I could have swore I just saw it suck in a little bit of air. So I pulled it down. Don't sit there and wait. Just pull it down. That bubble will come back out. We're going to push it up very slowly once we get here to the top. Now, I've already put my bladder into my shock cap because it's easier to do when you're not having to hold the piston.
Now I'm going to roll this on there, and what that's going to do, and I've also got this at an angle, that's going to roll that air to one side and get as much of the air out of this shock as you possibly can. Once you get the threads lined up, go ahead and screw your cap on and see if that shaft comes out at all. Not even a millimeter. Pull it out, make sure it doesn't suck it back in, push it in, and there we go. Perfect every single time. Alright, so I set that shock shaft off to the side. We're going to build one more, just so I can show you guys, you know, those of y'all that want more in-depth. So let's go ahead and go through this procedure one more time. Take our little E-clip, put it on that bottom run, snap it into place, grab our piston, smooth side down, grab our other E-clip, grab our other E-clip, get it snapped on there, make sure it's seated, make sure that piston is nice and free and not binding up. Grab our shock body, go ahead and put our shaft down in there, pull it through. I'm feeling a little bit of tension, and what I want to do, take it back out, put it back in, and it's actually the piston that's rubbing on the shock body. I don't really feel like sanding a shock. Should be fine. We hope. Alright, so I'm going to take a seal. I'm going to do this one just a little bit different. Take a seal. We've got to drill out this little spacer here. 120 thousandths drill bit. Go ahead and slide that on. Get the little red fuzzy off of the seal. Put this seal on. If you notice, I've got a little bit of space in there. Put a little bit of oil. Just kind of rub it around. Push the seals up into the shock body. Grab our cap. Screw the cap on. Check it. Little tight, but again, plastic body. Pull the shock shaft all the way out. Go ahead and fill it up with shock oil. Push the piston up and wait. Pull the piston down. Must have left a little bit of oil on the bottom of that. Oh, there they are. Okay. I was like, where's the air? Alright, push it up. Couple taps. Pull it down. Wait for the air bubbles. Saw a few of them there. One more time. Alright. Now, I'm going to see if I can use my pocket knife here to hold that because I forgot to put the bladder in. We're going to take the bladder, stick it into the cap, take a small screwdriver to help seat it down in there, maybe. It does not go that way, just so anybody that's wondering. Do not put it in upside down. The dome has to go up or down depending on which orientation you're looking. Kind of work it in there. Alright, once you have it in there, push your shock shaft up almost until the very top. This one I think I'm going to have a little bit of squeeze out. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to squeeze my bottle. Just until it's flush. Kind of tilt it sideways a little bit. Roll my cap onto there. Go ahead and screw it on. And there we go. Perfect. Every single time. I'll hold it back here to the mic for you guys. Pulling it in and out. Not a hint of air in this shock. So I'm going to go ahead and do these other 6, and then we'll be back. Came back here just real quick because I saw this guy. How many of y'all were yelling at the screen? Yeah, I could tear that apart and put that in. Hey, I mean, whenever you do these, especially on video, you're going to forget some stuff. Practice makes perfect, and I get to practice on this one more time. So I'm going to take this one back apart. So apparently I got 7 to do. Is what it is. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to finish this part up, and we'll be back. Good Lord, I cannot believe I forgot that little guy. Actually, you know what? Let's just show you how I'm going to do this, because I'm going to kind of cheat. We're going to reach over here, and I just got a red rag that I'm going to set right in front of me. It's kind of off camera. We'll go ahead and move that. We're going to set it right there. So this is just going to be a catch rag is all it's going to be. Alright, we're going to pop this cap off of this perfectly bled shock. Alright, you can see it actually kept it in there because I pulled the shock shaft down, so it's keeping a vacuum on that. If you don't believe me, I will screw it back on. I will push the shock shaft all the way in, and as you can see, it still stays, and that's as far in as it'll go. We'll take the cap back off. There you go. I told you. Alright, so what I'm going to do is loosen the bottom, and then whenever I push this shock shaft up, I'm going to keep my finger on the bottom. That way no oil comes out. Alright, so finger on the bottom, push the shock shaft out. That is a lot of oil. It's still on that shaft. Oh man. Alright, let's clean that off. Just down there on the threads. Come down here. Pick up the spacer. And clean my fingers off. Go ahead and push that shaft back through. Just like that. Pull that through. Give my finger back. It sucked my finger down onto it. Go ahead and tighten this back down. Pull that down. That way we make sure to get all the air out. And now, clean my fingers off so I'm not getting shock oil all over the body. Now, we need to kind of wait just in case it put any small bubbles into that oil. Doesn't take too long. Push it up. This time I'm going to go up pretty far and then pull it back down. And I just want to watch. I don't see any air bubbles. Fantastic. Go ahead, fill it up just a hair bit more. Push the shaft back up in there. Very slowly. Excellent. Grab our cap. Roll it on. This time I am going to get some squeeze out. Tighten it down. As you can see there, little squeeze out. That's what the rag's for. I knew I was going to make a mess on this one. There is no way to get around it. That one actually did push the shaft out, but it's only coming out, it's probably ½ an inch. That, I think that's actually a little too much, but these are going to wear in. So let's work that in and out. Push it in. It's still coming out, but what I'm not feeling, there's not really a lot of resistance, so this is just that bladder. Pull it out. It's not sucking it in, so I would rather have it pushing out just a hair than having it suck it back in. If it's sucking it in, once that suspension unloads, it can pull that bladder down in there. So that one, there's absolutely zero air inside it. The spacer's inside it. Cannot believe I forgot that thing. Go ahead and clean it off, and we'll call that one good. And just to show you, this one right here, I'm going to leave exactly the same. Again, zero air, but that one doesn't push out. As long as there's not an excessive amount of force needed to push it all the way in, I don't see any problem with that. Now that I have that spacer, put it in this shock, now I can do the other 6. Alright, got 7 of the 8. I know you guys want to see me build this one, so yeah. Oy. Go ahead, put our E-clip on here. Alright. Get our piston. Grab our other E-clip. Just going to do this one, you know, pretty quick. Get the fuzzy off of there. No low Earth orbit. I've been saying that wrong all morning. Not going to forget our little bump stop. Throw that in there. I know you guys are probably wondering, some of you guys are wondering why I'm putting the shaft in before I put the seals in, and it's so the threads don't tear the seal. Go ahead and grab, these seals are different too. See, that one is nice and free. That's actually a little too free. I've got a bunch of shock oil on my fingers, so it's lubing that shaft up. Let's see, are you going to, yeah, there you go. Seat down in there. I'm noticing that there's not a lot protruding out right there, so this one may leak more than I think it's going to leak. I already know it's going to because of those nicks that I showed you in the shaft. So let's go ahead and tighten it down. It's got a little tension on that shaft. Okay, that's fine. Go ahead and fill it up with shock oil. Alright, push the plunger up. You saw a few little bubbles right there come out, and yeah, that is domed up real good. Pull it down, one big bubble, some other smaller ones in there. Push it up, pull it down. Not too shabby. There's a little one. There's a little one. There's one little tiny one. I think it just popped. Cool. Do that one more time. I think this one feels the best out of all of them. The plastic's smoother. Go ahead and push our piston up. Set her here in my piston holder. Shock holder. Got my cap. I just now noticed this one's quite hard compared to the other 7. Oh well, should work the same. Alright, make sure it's seated down in there. Yeah, everything about this shock needs to be replaced, including the bladders. There's one little bubble right there. I really wish we'd get out of there. Got him. Alright, roll our cap on. Make sure not to cross thread it. This one should push out. Yeah, a little bit. Go ahead and wipe it off. I've just got a rag down here. Just wiping off where that oil squeezed out whenever I put the cap on. Feel it? Oh. Alright, now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not on video. I'm going to try to hold it still. Whenever I pull it out, see how it just barely pulled back in? You don't really want that, but it wasn't that much, and this shock is probably going to go in the trash. So, once we find a new one, not right now. Alright, so these pistons, we can go ahead and set them off to the side. Don't ever throw away shock pistons. Ever, 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 ever. And if you guys are wondering, holding it up, you can see, put my thumb right at the level. That's how much shock oil we used. Just that right there. So we can do an entire T-Maxx with this, once again. So like I said, you know, if you mess up, it's not a big deal to just go ahead and dump it out.
start over again. Alright, now we're ready to put these shocks back together. Get my knife out the way. We're going to utilize pliers and a red rag. We're going to take a shock. We're going to grip it with the pliers in the red rag and then screw the end on. I've actually got to change hands here. I'm right-handed. Trying to screw stuff on with my left hand, most of the time that don't work. Sometimes getting these things started, even after they've already got threads, is kind of a pain. I'm going to go ahead and take these until they stop. Alright, got that. We're going to take spring cap, spring, pull the spring down, pop the bottom on, boom, we have a shock. Oh, that's pretty. Not as pretty as Teflon or, you know, unobtainium shock shafts or anything like that, but that's pretty for a T-Maxx. Alright, let's see if I can start this and get it on without the pliers. This hand doesn't have as much oil on it. I was trying to do it the other way. I think I can. Cool. Alright. Spring cap, cup, whatever you want to call it. Seat, spring, lower seat. Pretty. That one's got just a hair bit of air in it. But this is also the one that, yeah, I forgot the limiter on. Alright, I get to do that 6 more times. Alright, once again for the 8th time, we get to do the janky shock. And I'll just kind of breeze through this one. Holy crap. Oh, my finger's getting tired. It's getting hard to hold that shaft. Slide that on, slide the spring on, slide the seat on, boom. There we go. One thing I did forget was this cap. We are going to put that back on. Just grab a rag, wipe that bottom off, make sure there's no contamination. Put the cap back in your shock oil. It'll just help save it a little while longer. Let me tell you how long this stuff's been around. This was a brand new bottle when I started. This was one of 2 bottles that I bought when I did the last shock build video. So I've had it for a while. So guys, there you go. That's exactly how you rebuild shocks on a T-Maxx that have been excessively abused, which is what the T-Maxx is for, right? If you stagger your shocks like this, I cannot stress how important it is not to get them mixed up. This is the front, this is the rear. The rear has more dampening because it only has a 2-hole piston in the shock, whereas this has a 3-hole piston. The spring rates on these two are exactly the same. Same red springs, same stiffness, but this one is a little bit harder to push down with force. Now if I just slowly squeeze it, you're going to notice 0 difference. But whenever you squeeze it fast, I can squeeze this one faster in my right hand than I can the one on the left, because 3-hole pistons. So if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Questions, comments, suggestions, post them in the comment section below. If you would like to help us out, hey, those links are in the description. Not required, but greatly appreciated. As always, I want to thank everyone for watching. See you guys in the next video.